I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, trying to figure out how I got completely blindsided by my wife, but that's where I am. Her name's Lisa, and we've been together for almost 15 years. We got married right after college, built a life, had a kid, the usual suburban dream. Or so I thought. Things started feeling off maybe 6 months ago, little things. She was more snippy than usual, started pulling away at times, and her phone started acting like it was made of gold. She'd always been a little bitchy, yeah, but this was different. She'd snap at me for no reason, get defensive about everything. I chalked it up to stress or work pressure. She's a high-powered executive, always busy, always on her phone. I figured she was just overwhelmed. But then something changed. She became even more secretive. She started leaving her phone around less, hiding it, and her texts were more guarded. I tried to brush it off, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I noticed her phone charging in the bathroom one night when I was getting the kids' school papers out of the car. I had a flash of something strange. Her phone looked different, more recent, and when I looked closer, I saw a lot of hotel receipts on the screen. Not just one or two, dozens, spanning months, some of them at hotels I'd never even heard of. And the weird part, she was supposedly exploring investment options with our financial advisor, Mark. Mark's been helping us with retirement planning for a couple of years now. He's a decent guy, professional, and we've trusted him. Lisa had scheduled a meeting with him that day, and I'd gone to pick up some documents from the car while she was inside his office. I didn't think much of it at the time, just a typical meeting, right? But then I saw the hotel receipts and my stomach sank. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was so blatantly obvious now. She wasn't just talking about investments. She was screwing around with Mark, probably for months, and lying about everything. I felt this cold rush of anger and betrayal, but also a crushing wave of sadness. How could she lie to my face for so long? How could she pretend to be this perfect wife and mother when she's out fucking some guy in hotels? It hit me like a punch in the gut. I didn't say anything that night. I just sat there staring at the receipts, feeling numb. I kept telling myself I must have misunderstood, that maybe it was just business trips or some kind of mistake. But I knew deep down that wasn't true. The signs were there, they always are, aren't they? And the worst part, she lied so easily when I confronted her. She's a master at spinning stories. Told me she and Mark were just exploring investment options, that he was a friend of the family and I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. She sneered, called me insecure, and told me I was overreacting. I wanted to punch her, wanted to throw her out, but I just sat there, stunned, trying to process what I just found out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything, her lies, her sneaky behavior, the hotel receipts, the fact that she'd been cheating on me with our financial advisor. It's so surreal. How did I miss all the signs? How could I have been so blind? I thought I knew her, but it turns out I didn't know anything. The betrayal is one thing, but feeling so stupid for not seeing it coming, that's even worse. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Did I miss the signs? Did I not pay enough attention? But I know the truth now, this wasn't about me. It was her, just her. I don't know what I'll do next, but I do know that my world has been shattered and I have to figure out how to pick up the pieces. The next day was worse than I expected. I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept circling back to that terrible discovery, the hotel receipts, the lies, the idea that my wife had been screwing around with Mark for who knows how long. That sick feeling in my gut just wouldn't go away. It was like I'd been punched in the stomach, but worse because this was real. I wasn't dreaming. I had concrete proof, and the truth was staring me in the face. The thought that she could be so callous, so dishonest, made my blood boil. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew that wasn't going to help. I needed to think this through, plan what I was going to say, how I was going to handle this mess. I got up, made some coffee, and sat on the porch. Lisa was still sleeping, probably exhausted from her meeting with Mark. I watched her through the window, her face calm, her expression perfectly neutral, except I knew better. I knew what she was capable of. She was a bitch when she wanted to be, and I'd seen her lie with such ease, even about the smallest things. But this was different. This was her lying about her entire marriage, about our lives. My mind was racing with anger and hurt, but also a strange sense of clarity. I knew I couldn't keep living like this, not knowing she'd been cheating on me all this time. I had to decide what to do, whether I'd stay and try to fix things or just cut my losses and walk away. I finally decided I had to get proof of everything, just in case I needed it later. I started digging through her emails, texts, and social media, all the stuff she thought she was hiding so. Well, I found messages between her and Mark, casual at first, then more intimate, more personal. They talked about exploring options, meeting up, and even about hotels. I couldn't believe I'd missed all of this. How blind had I been? I felt like a fool. All these years I thought we had the perfect life. Turns out she was out screwing some guy behind my back, lying through her teeth. I remember feeling a mix of disgust and despair. It was like the ground was shifting beneath me and I couldn't find solid footing. My mind raced with questions. How long has she been doing this? Did she even love me anymore? Was I just a paycheck to her? I'd always been a good husband, tried to be supportive, loved her unconditionally. And here she was, just throwing it all away for some brief excitement, some cheap thrill with Mark. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was so cold, so calculated. I felt betrayed in every possible way. I wanted to scream, to shake her awake, to demand answers, but I knew that wouldn't change anything right now. I had to keep my composure, gather evidence, and prepare myself for the inevitable confrontation. After hours of digging, I finally had enough. I printed out everything: texts, hotel receipts, emails. I knew I'd need to confront her face to face and lay it all out. I was furious, yes, but also heartbroken. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face, pretend everything was fine? I kept thinking about our kids, what they'd think if they knew their mom was cheating. That thought made me feel sick. But I also knew I couldn't let this lie go any longer. I had to show her I knew that I wasn't going to be played anymore. I wasn't going to be some fool who got taken for a ride. And as I sat there, staring at the pile of evidence in my lap, I realized this was the start of something I never wanted to face. My marriage breaking apart, all because of her lies and her selfishness. I just didn't know how to handle the pain yet. By late afternoon, I had made up my mind. I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know what was going on. The betrayal was too raw, too real. I felt like I was about to explode from the inside out. I decided I'd confront Lisa that evening, right after dinner. I wanted her to see I wasn't going to be played anymore, that I knew everything. I needed her to own up, to face the consequences of her actions. I also knew I had to be prepared for whatever she'd throw at me, her lies, her manipulations, her crying or blaming. She was good at that. She'd lie about the sky being blue if it suited her. That whole day, I stayed on edge. I kept pretending to be normal around the kids, but inside I was boiling. Every time I looked at her, I saw her face, her fake smile, and I wanted to smash something. I kept telling myself I'd be calm, even if I was furious. I wanted her to see that I was serious, that I wasn't just some naive husband who got duped. I was done being the fool. When she finally came home, I was already waiting in the living room. The evidence spread across the table: screenshots, hotel receipts, printouts. She walked in, caught sight of everything, and her face immediately went pale. Her eyes widened and she started talking quickly, denials, excuses, the usual bullshit. "Oh, come on, David, you're overreacting. This is all just a misunderstanding," she said, her voice dripping with fake innocence. I looked right at her and said, "No, Lisa, it's not a misunderstanding. I know exactly what's been happening. I saw the receipts, the messages. You've been cheating on me, haven't you?" She blinked rapidly, then tried to brush it off. "It's not what you think. Mark's just a friend, and those hotel receipts, they're business trips. You're twisting things." I cut her off. "Business trips, really? You've been screwing this guy in hotel rooms for months, lying to my face about it. And all those times you said you were exploring investment options, you knew damn well what you were doing. Don't lie anymore, Lisa. I've got proof. I've seen everything." Her face twisted into anger. She started yelling, "You don't understand. I was stressed, and Mark, he's just a friend. We never meant for it to get out of hand. I was just, I don't know, trying to feel alive again. You're so boring, David. You don't even notice what's happening right in front of you. I needed something different. I didn't think you'd find out." Her words hit me like a slap, but I was done listening. I looked at her, disgusted, and said, "You've been lying for months, maybe years. I can't believe I married someone like you. After everything we built, you throw it all away for some douche who's just after your money or whatever sick thrill you get from cheating. I'm done." She started crying and her bitchy facade cracked for a moment. "You don't understand, I was unhappy." "You're so controlling and distant, I needed something." "Save it," I interrupted, voice cold and firm. "I don't want to hear your excuses. You lied, you cheated, and you played me for a fool. Well, I'm not going to be your doormat anymore. I want a divorce, it's over." She looked stunned, like she couldn't believe I was actually serious. Her tears turned into angry tears and she yelled, "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Well, you're just as much to blame. If you paid more attention, maybe I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Maybe I wouldn't have cheated if you were a real man." That last shot hit me harder than anything. I'd always tried to support her, to be there for her. And now she was throwing it all back in my face, calling me a bad husband. It was the final straw. I told her to pack her bags, that I'd call a lawyer tomorrow. I didn't want to see her face anymore. I didn't want to hear her lies. I just wanted her gone out of my life for good. As she stormed out, screaming and crying at the same time, I felt a strange mixture of relief and despair. Relief that I finally knew the truth, that I wasn't living a lie anymore. But also despair because everything I believed in, our marriage, our family, was crashing down around me. I knew this was just the beginning, that the pain and chaos weren't over yet. But I also knew I couldn't keep pretending. Not anymore. I had to face what was coming and somehow find a way to move on from this nightmare she had created. The days that followed were a blur of legal appointments, packing, and endless thoughts racing through my head. I never thought I'd be in this position, divorcing the woman I'd sworn to spend my life with. Every night I reread the messages and receipts, trying to make sense of it all. How could she do this? How could she lie for so long, then turn around and blame me for not noticing? It's like she wanted to keep everything hidden, to punish me for some vague reason I'll never understand. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought it would, especially coming from someone I loved and trusted so completely. I remember the first night after she left, sitting alone in the house, feeling emptier than I ever had before. The silence was deafening. The kids were with her. Thank God they didn't see her in her full bitchy fury, but I knew they would sense the tension. That's what tore me apart the most. I didn't want them growing up thinking Mom was some kind of liar, some kind of unfaithful piece of shit. I kept telling myself I'd do everything I could to protect them, but inside I was broken. I felt like I'd been knocked over, left to crawl back up in the ruins of what was supposed to be a life I built with her. I spent the next few days trying to get my head straight. The first thing I did was contact a lawyer. I needed to make this official. I also made plans to tell my closest friends, people I trusted, what had happened. I'd been so humiliated, so betrayed, I needed someone to talk to. My best friend, Mike, listened quietly when I told him everything. I could see the shock in his eyes, but he didn't judge me. That was the thing. I realized I wasn't alone in this. There are people who understand how devastating betrayal can be, even if they haven't been through exactly what I'd been through. The whole process of separating was brutal. Lisa kept calling, trying to spin her lies, pretending she was innocent, crying, begging me to think about the kids, but I wasn't buying any of it. I knew her game now. She played the victim, trying to guilt-trip me into changing my mind. But I had made up my mind. This was over. I didn't want her back, not after what she did. I wanted her out of my life, out of my mind, and if that meant going through hell for a while, so be it. Meanwhile, the emotional roller coaster was relentless. Some days I felt anger so intense I thought I'd explode. Other days I just felt numb, like I was someone watching this whole tragedy unfold from outside myself. The hardest part was the guilt. Guilt for not noticing sooner. Guilt for my kids having to grow up in a broken home. Guilt for feeling relief at her leaving, because it meant I was finally free from her bullshit. I kept asking myself if I was a fool for staying so long, for believing her lies, for thinking she'd change, or that our marriage was worth saving. Now I see clearly. She was never the person I thought she was. She was a bitchy, manipulative liar hiding behind a pretty face and a fake smile. I had a lot of sleepless nights, lying there staring at the ceiling, replaying every argument, every moment I missed or ignored. And yet somehow I knew I had to move on. I had to rebuild my life without her. That realization was both terrifying and oddly freeing. I wasn't sure if I'd ever fully trust again, but I knew I couldn't stay stuck in this pain. I had to find a way to heal, to forgive myself for not catching her sooner, and to learn from this nightmare. The worst betrayal had happened, but I wasn't going to let it define me forever. I had to get stronger for me and for my kids. Right now, everything still feels raw, and I'm not even sure what the future holds, but I know one thing. I will never let her or anyone else betray me like that again. I've learned a hard lesson about trust, about paying attention, and about honoring myself. Whether I stay single or try to find someone new one day, I'll never forget what she did. And I won't let it destroy me. I guess that's what I have to hold on to now, my own strength, even if I feel weak most of the time. It's been about a month since she moved out, and honestly, that's when the real mess started. The legal stuff, the division of assets, the custody arrangements, everything moved so fast it felt like I was watching some bad soap opera. I was trying to keep it together, but inside, I was furious and hurt. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to try and manipulate the situation, acting like the innocent victim, even after everything I'd uncovered. She kept calling, sending messages, begging me to reconsider, to work it out, but I wasn't having any of it. I saw through her bullshit now. She was just trying to keep the facade, to prevent losing everything she'd been sneaking around for. The day we finally sat down with lawyers, I saw her try to slip in some last-minute guilt trips, saying things like, "Think about the kids," or "I'll change, I swear." I just looked at her and said, "Lisa, I don't want to hear your lies anymore. You cheated, you lied, and you're not going to manipulate your way back into my life. I'm done." That day was the first time I really felt I was starting to regain some control. I wasn't going to let her guilt or tears pull me back in. I was done being the fool. As we went through the paperwork, I kept thinking about all the years I'd invested in this marriage, how I'd worked hard, tried to be supportive, and how she'd repaid me with betrayal and lies. It hurt so much. But part of me also felt a strange sense of relief. I was finally free from her chaos, her bitchiness, her games. I could breathe again, even if it was in a broken, painful way. I knew I'd probably be paying for this for a long time, emotionally, financially. But I also understood that I was better off without her lying by my side. One thing I didn't expect was how much my feelings fluctuated, day to day, hour to hour. Some moments I'd feel almost okay, like I could handle anything. Other times I'd be overwhelmed with sadness or anger. I'd catch myself staring at the wall, thinking about what I could have done differently, what I missed. But I also started realizing I couldn't keep living in the past. I had to focus on the future, no matter how uncertain or messy it was. I had my kids to consider, and I wanted to be a good father for them, especially now. They deserved stability, even if their mom was a lying cheater. I also reconnected with some old friends who knew what I was going through. They've been a huge help, reminding me that I'm not weak, that I didn't deserve her betrayal, and that I need to focus on healing. I started going to the gym again, trying to get some of this rage out in a healthy way. It's not easy, and I'm definitely not perfect at it, but I'm trying to stay afloat. Every day I wake up, I remind myself that I'm better off without her. I remind myself that I deserve someone who actually honors the vows and doesn't cheat and lie. Now I've started thinking about what's next. Do I try to find someone new someday? Maybe. Do I stay single for a while? Definitely. For now, I just want to focus on myself and the kids. I want to rebuild what's left of my life, piece by piece. The pain is still there, but I'm learning to live with it. I know that trust is going to be hard to rebuild, not just with someone new, but within myself after what I've been through. But if I learned anything, it's that I'm stronger than I believed. Maybe not right now, but eventually I'll come out of this a better, wiser man. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. Looking back now, I realize that the whole experience changed me in ways I never anticipated. At first, I was just devastated, angry, and feeling like I'd been punched in the gut by the woman I trusted most. But over time, I started to see things more clearly. I saw her for what she really was, a selfish, manipulative bitch who thought she could have her cake and eat it too. And I saw myself as someone who had been naive, but who was also capable of picking himself up from the dirt and moving forward. Honestly, I don't regret confronting her or exposing her lies. It hurt a hell of a lot in the moment, but I think it was the only way I could start healing. Keeping everything bottled up would have destroyed me in the long run. Facing the truth, no matter how brutal, gave me the chance to rebuild my life on my own terms. I've learned to trust myself again, to listen to that little voice inside that warned me she wasn't who she appeared to be. Most importantly, I've learned that betrayal, no matter how painful, can be a catalyst for growth if you let it. It's a hard lesson, but I've become more aware of what I deserve, what I won't tolerate, and what it means to stand up for myself. I won't let someone manipulate or lie to me again. I won't be that naive guy who thought he had the perfect marriage, and I won't accept being betrayed ever again. Now I focus on my kids, my job, and rebuilding my self-esteem. I don't hate Lisa anymore, at least not like I used to. I feel sorry for her, honestly. She lost herself in her selfishness, and that's on her. I hope one day she figures out what she really wants, but I'm done waiting for that. I've finally accepted that some damage can't be undone, and that's okay. Life goes on. This whole ordeal has shown me that strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you pick yourself back up after you do. I've learned to forgive myself for missing the signs, for staying too long, and for believing in a fairy tale that was never real. I've also learned that real happiness comes from within. You can't find it in someone else or in the fantasies you cling to. It's something you have to create for yourself, piece by piece, through pain and perseverance. So I'm moving forward, alone maybe, but not defeated. I've got a second chance now, a chance to build a better, more honest life. I know I'll never forget what she did, but I'm learning to leave it in the past. The pain will fade, and someday I genuinely believe I'll be happier without her. That's what I want them to know. Trust your gut, pay attention to the signs, and don't be afraid to walk away from a lie, no matter how long it's been hiding behind a pretty face. Because in the end, living a lie is the worst kind of betrayal, and I refuse to be a victim of that anymore.